You know what time it is! You know what time it is! E-S-E-L-E-S-E-L!
And you know what underdogs is? It's a hungry dog.
And the second stick away, and the Eagles are alive! Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you! Let the celebration begin!
All right, everyone, and welcome to episode 75 of the Wingin It podcast. If you are not following us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, what are you waiting for? Make sure you also check us out on our social channels on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook if you want, and Instagram, our biggest platform there. Guys, I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. I want everyone to give Chris Nady a round of applause.
Go Bird, go Bird.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us. You stepped outside right in the green room. We were having some connection issues. You said, I'm going to step outside. I said, you're going to freeze your butt off. And you said, no, we're shorts to every single game, so it's not going to be an issue for us. So, Chris, we have a few questions for you. One thing I want to ask is, every time I see your picture, it's above an article that says either the Eagles are the best fan base in the entire NFL, or they're the most annoying fan base in the NFL. And there's usually a picture of you, your buddy Jamie, or Dunphy on there kind of representing the whole fan group. How do you distinguish that honor? How does that make you feel that every single time there's always going to be a picture of Chris Nady there in the stands?
Well, we are the best and we're the most annoying. That's why we're the best, because that's what our job. I mean, come on. E-Rock said it best. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys, but that's kind of what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're there to annoy the other fans, annoy the other teams. It is what it is. To a point, keep it PG. Got to be respectful. We ain't like those college kids in the parking lot. We like to give a good name to the fans. Like, you know, there's a fine line there. There's being a fan, then there's being a jerk off. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
So do you take this as a term of endearment when, ESPN?
Of course, it means we're doing our job. We're doing our job. That's what we got to do. Be loud and be obnoxious. You know, like I said, to a point, and keep it cool.
I feel the same way. When someone calls you annoying, it just means you care, Chris. It just means that you're there. You want to be about it, all up in their business. You just care an awful lot.
We have a reputation to keep here.
We absolutely do.
I have a voice now because we've been doing good this year and last year. Year before that, I couldn't even do this because I sound like nothing. Like there's nothing coming out. Because I'm used to screaming at my own team, to be honest with you. You know, I cheer and this and that, of course, but like, you know, if we're doing good, I don't have to yell at my own team and we're good. No, none of that run the ball, all that, you know.
Well, to that point, I'm surprised you have a voice, because I feel like last week's game was kind of scream worthy. Did you feel like that game was just kind of like you're already moving on, like you're moved on from it? It happened, it's over with, and you know, or are you actually worried from what happened during that San Francisco game?
Well, I am more hoarse than I've been all year from that game, of course.
Okay, all right.
The weather hasn't helped the last 3 weeks, but also I made it, knock on wood, not to get too sick from the last few games. But yeah, it was a little disheartening. We took a whooping. We did. I mean, last time we took a whooping like that, I believe, was 2009. And you know, it's nice. We're not that team, though. We're not that team. They've been looking at us all year long. Probably why they dropped 3 games or 4 games to nobodies. You know what I mean? Worried about us too much. And I get it. I get
that
it.
Or no Debo.
A hard one.
Hey Chris, so first of all, it's funny to hear you talk about the reputation that we've got as Eagles fans. So I live in Minnesota, and when the Eagles won the Super Bowl here in Minnesota, every Minnesotan in Minneapolis was not excited about the Super Bowl because they were like, oh my God, Eagles fans are coming to town. And it was just like such a heartwarming experience watching them quiver in fear that there was going to be a flock of Eagles heading into Minneapolis. But I was also with my people during that time, so that was lovely. I do have a question. You carry an uncanny resemblance to Gardner Minshew. Is this on purpose?
Yeah, he gave me his mustache because I tried to jersey swap with him. I gave him a Jim McMahon jersey at the Washington game in 2021. He was always talking about, I'll get fined if I give you my jersey, blah, blah, blah. But he also hasn't rocked the stash since. So I guess he gave me his mustache. He did give me not this one. I gave him one of these, and he gave me his NFL gray headband you see in a lot of his pictures. He's a really good dude.
Wow. That's pretty.
I actually got
Have
to
you
buy
like built like a
games. Even Vince Papale, when we were doing an interview for Good Day Philadelphia, him and his wife were there, and Minshew lives with them when he's not when he was with the Eagles and he was in town. I guess they live in Florida probably, but he trains with their son and all that. And she's like, I got to text Gardner. I was like, trust me, he knows who I am. She texts him, picture of me, and 5 minutes later he goes, LOL, that's my guy.
That's so crazy. So you've like built like kind of like a relationship with him. Like, have you talked to Gardner like since he left Philly, or is it just kind of one of those, hey, you see each other at the games, give each other a nod and kind of move on?
Your first words there were, we kind of have a relationship, is exactly what he said in his post-game press conference about me when he beat the Jets. That footage is available out there on my page. But
Wow.
it's like I saw him in I guess it was the opening game in Atlanta. And he's sitting there holding a clipboard for Joe Flacco. Like, come on now. Like, let's be real. So I was like, Gardner, where's your mullet? I'm holding on to it for you, but I'm going to charge a storage fee. So I just busted his balls ever since then. And literally every game I would just kind of like mess with him. And then finally he got that clipboard out of his hands. And Flacco's on the Jets. And, from then on, we'd meet up in the stands and this and that. He'd come over to the sidelines. He signed my McMahon jersey, and I was trying to get the jersey swap going since the Denver game. And he's like, I can't give it to you. A lot of those pictures you see where he's like this with his jersey, he's talking to me, telling me he can't give me his jersey, but whatever. The girls love it. It's all good.
I'm sure they do. I love it. I'm not a girl, but I still love it. I would probably, like, if you had some like a crumb or something, I'd probably grab it and eat it myself. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Just
go with it.
conversation just turned weird.
Yeah, but that's how you compliment people's facial hair. You're like, oh, if you had food stuck in your facial hair, I would still trust it. Maybe that's
Okay.
Do
All
people
right.
not talk like that in your family?
No, man.
People
No?
do not talk like that in my family.
I can't say that they do.
Chris, so you were telling us in the green room before we got started that you go to every single Eagles game that there is. Tell us a little bit about that. How many years have you been doing this? Is this something new, something that's been ongoing for a while?
For the last few years, I've gone to every one. I did skip one in 2021 because we got whooped by the Raiders so bad, and I had already been to Detroit. I didn't care if we beat them or not. It was like Halloween weekend. I had just got my puppy Dawkins from Texas. So I was like,
Cute dog, I saw
dress
him,
him
yeah.
up as a banana and parade him around for the weekend. But before that, like 2017, I think I missed 3 away games. 2018, maybe about the same. 2019, maybe a couple. 2020, we went to every game we could. There was 6 games, 3 home, 3 away. We hit all those. But yeah, man, I'm a contractor. It's tough for me to get out when everybody else is on vacation. So I take my birdcations and, usually a Saturday to a Monday and see the town. Now we're seeing people from all over the country, all over the world that meet us at these other away games. And it's a whole family, man. Sometimes we share Airbnbs,
Wow.
we do our thing, and it's a whole family on the road. There's people I meet on the road all the time that I never even see at home games. They'll come out for some, but it's like the road family, the road crew.
I love that.
And we bring it, man. We've been taking over them stadiums. LA was another.
So, I mean, do you have a stadium that stands out, above them all? I mean, it sounds like you've probably been to Dallas multiple times, considering we play them every year, and you've been going to all these games. So, I get, what are some of your favorite stadiums, and how does Dallas, because you're going to have 2 friends with you possibly this weekend. Aleks and Ali are both going to be going to the game. So I know Ali has been to the stadium. Aleks, this is going to be his first time. So,
First time.
You got any words of wisdom for these
For
guys?
most of the big new domes now, especially with LA, and of course Minnesota for the Super Bowl. But Dallas is the one. It's still the biggest, baddest one in the whole place. I mean, it's filled with Cowboy fans. Unfortunately, it's very hard to take that stadium over because there's so many fans there, and so many Dallas fans, fraud fans come from around the country. But I'll give them credit. At least they're being baptized in their own stadium finally. An ex-girlfriend came up briefly a minute ago. We won't comment on it, but she was a Cowboy fan, and I was like, "Well, you're gonna have to come to the Cowboy Stadium with me." And I took her every year we were together, and so she's at least been to her own stadium. You gotta baptize them right, and at least have been there. You can talk all that smack while you're in New Jersey or wherever.
What's your least favorite stadium in the NFL? If we know,
FedEx is trash. It's garbage.
Yeah.
FedEx is like playing. I'd rather go to a high school stadium than a FedEx field. What a garbage stadium.
No
I'm sure they're on the
hesitation.
verge of dropping too much money on a new stadium, so whatever.
So Chris, talk to me about your early years, right? Like how did you become the man that you are, your Eagles fandom? One question that we normally ask is like, what player got you started as an Eagles fan to the point of where you're at now?
I guess started was back in the day watching Cunningham and those guys when I was young.
Yeah, man.
Like 12 years old or so. And I was a baseball kid more than anything, but I would follow them with a friend of mine's. All right, you're ready. You're about to get a story here. So I was following him with my friend's older brother, Dan, and he was a big Eagle fan. I was still more baseball, this and that. So either way, I had a hat collection. Now, my mom, one year, I was about 14. I had my first job. I was pumping gas at the place down the street from my high school. One of those old starter Dallas Cowboy hats. Oof. I wore it one time pumping gas. I mean, it's not a glorious job. It's going to get dirty. It's kind of a work hat thing idea for that day. One of my brother's best friends, I had no idea, was a diehard Eagle fan. He took my scrawny ass and threw me in the dumpster behind the place. Funny, I'm on my feet. Then he pushes me down into it. All I hear is like that. A freaking almost a 2-foot raccoon bit me in the leg. We're talking about months of rabies shots, all this and that. He covered it all.
What?
Then I realized with the dedication, I realized there's something different about football, fandom. That hat stayed in that dumpster, and where we're at now.
So he scared you straight, basically, is what happened.
Eagle fans were.
So he's
months of rabies shots every Friday.
What? So Chris, are you saying that he scared you straight, essentially?
Well, then I knew what was going on. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa. I didn't realize. Man, I was still a baseball fan. Hey, that's different. Now baseball gets me over to football, man. That's it. It's just a screensaver for the year until I get to football.
So after that, who was your first Eagles jersey that you bought?
I had a Cunningham back then, even
yeah.
Still on the line, but Dawkins is obviously everything. That's what my dog's named after now. Out in Oklahoma City, 2021. Actually, my father passed in July. 2 weeks later, when I got back, one of my best friends passed, and then my dog passed. My best friend was a Cowboy fan. So after all that, dealing with all that, I was like, all right, well, I went to his service on Saturday. Monday morning, I was headed out to get the dog. I said, well, and this service was like Cowboys things everywhere. His urn looks like something Jerry Jones would be in. So I told his brother and sister, I was like, I'm going to Dallas tomorrow or Monday. Give me a little bit of his ashes. I'll put him right on the star. Now he's the only man on the star. There was a little bit left in the package because it is the only stadium that has a policy against it. So then I really wanted to do it. But there was a little bit left in the bottom, so I put him in the cheerleaders' locker room on the rookie side. So he's always got, some nice fresh prop. And then I got
the most Philly stories I could ever hear.
I took him for his first walk around AT&T Stadium. He did his business, and he's been to 30 tailgates, 6 different stadiums.
Wow,
double already. He's been to the whole East a couple times.
Does he have an Eagles jersey? I mean, it's got to be a Dawkins jersey.
Custom Dawkins. He's got
Brian Pawkins
coming now.
Hawk?
It's Brian Pawkins, right?
Pawkins. That is adorable.
And he acts a fool sometimes, so I know it's legit.
All right, so we talked a lot about the Dallas Cowboys. We obviously have a game coming up this weekend. As Andrew said, Aleks and I are going to be there. We're going to the Philly Sports Trips tailgate, which I would love to get your thoughts on, like what to expect there. How wild is it going to be? Are there going to be any raccoons? Or we're going to need rabies shots going into this tailgate? Please tell us. But also, we have a pretty important game coming up. The Eagles are number 1 in the NFC right now, and there are a lot of implications to what could potentially happen at the end of Sunday night. The Eagles could win and kind of cement their ownership over the number 1 seed, or the Eagles could lose to the Dallas Cowboys and drop potentially all the way down to the number 5 seed. So Chris, let's start off with the tailgate first. Want to get your thoughts on what that entire experience is like, and then head over into the game. What are your thoughts on what we can expect in this game? What were your thoughts on as far as the keys to success and how the Eagles can come out with a W, and then hit us with a score prediction at the end of it.
Sure. Well, the tailgates are excellent. The tailgates are fully catered. I mean, you got the legend there, Big Hollis Thomas. And if you don't know Hollis Thomas, he's his own mythical creature in himself. Love that. And a lot of people from all over that we travel with all the time will be out there, coming from all over the place. It's always good vibes, always a great time. They take care of everything. And man, Vince really looks out for his people and everybody involved in the tailgates. The guy probably had a hell of a week trying to reschedule everything for Seattle coming up this next coming week. But yeah, no, tailgate's going to be primo, A+. I believe even the Fourth and John guys are going to be out there too. There's going to be a lot of friends out there. The game, well, I've been to, like I said, this will be my 10th game. I was 4-0 there for a while. Then we lost 5 in a row there. So I've seen how bad it can go. No clear recovery brings up to, all these kind of
oh gosh.
Oh my God.
I just sat in my seat. I'm like, what are you talking about? Really? Yeah, it's been we've had a rough go there lately, but you know what? They know what's at stake now, and they just took one on the chin. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be fired up. And if we didn't have a 3rd and 30 get converted last year, Minshew did his job. I mean, what else could we do last year, So I think we had it last year, but they play tough out there, man. They play real tough in their house. So we're gonna have to bring it this week, and I don't think that'll be a problem.
What do you think the score prediction is going to be?
I would like to say 24-17 Birds, because it's not gonna be it's not gonna be a walk in the park, but also our defense should be tuned up for that one. Hopefully, it can stick it to them and get to the quarterback. They're a little overrated right now, if you ask me. They played one winning team, and once they beat them, guess who wasn't a winning team anymore? So theoretically, they played no winning teams yet.
Yeah. And if everyone wants to look out for you, I know that, a lot of times people will be like, oh, yeah, I remember you guys interviewed this guy. Where are you going to be sitting in the stadium? I assume row 1.
Tickets are wildly overpriced, but I waited.
I know.
I'll find my way down there. You'll see me.
Yeah, we haven't even bought our tickets yet. I think Ali and I were looking at like section 302, which isn't quite the nosebleeds, or like middle ring. It's like $780 a ticket.
It's gone up since then.
Crazy.
It's gone up since then. Yeah, and I mean, like, listen, like we went to the Super Bowl I think you were at the Super Bowl too last year, weren't you? Yeah.
Tickets got dropped in a minute too. Last hour, about $1,000.
They dropped to $1,000 the last hour.
Up.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Well, they also had that golf tournament out there, which I think a lot of money came in last minute for. You know what I mean? The waste management tour. So.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, dang, Ali. We may have to rethink our strategy. We may be doing standing room only then.
Drew, hit us. You're gonna get standing room. Stay by them rails, because you'll be just watching TV in the back of like 30, 40 people. If not, you know what I mean. You got to get a good spot if you're doing standing room.
Okay. That's
well,
good
Chris,
to know.
if I see you on TV, if I see you eating some good old Texas barbecue and you got a little extra sauce, hanging on your stash, just know that there's someone watching. I'd be like, I would lick that right off of that, man.
While you're out there in Arlington, man, it's amazing. That's the only spot I care to go other than that stadium. Hurtado's barbecue. Oof. It's so good.
Hurtado's barbecue?
Good to know.
Writing that one down.
The things you learn. The things you learn here at Wingin It.
Or inside, get the El Jefe. It's about $40. You're going to need to share a couple of them because they're huge.
You guys going to be eating good.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of this game, guys, I mean, Chris, you said 24-17. Man, if the Eagles can only let up 17 points to Dallas, I will be over the moon. I don't know how it's going to happen right now. I didn't realize how much the Eagles were going to miss Zach Cunningham. I know that we just signed Shaq Leonard, and yeah, it's good because it's filling a need, and I do think that he'll probably be an upgrade from the practice squad type of players that we've had. But, I'm looking at stats from the last time that we played Dallas. CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches for 191. Their tight end, Jake Ferguson, had 7 for 91 and a touchdown. I'm just, I don't worry about Jalen. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not worried about putting up points. Dallas Goedert's coming back, which is huge. And I'm really hoping that can provide enough of a spark for us to win this game. But, I mean, Dallas's offense is good. And I hate saying that. And I hate thinking that Dak Prescott has ability. I don't want to watch this game and think that this guy actually is capable of winning MVP. I don't believe that. With that being said, like, I'm going to take Dallas to win, and I hate that I'm doing it. What I saw from our defense last week, and I learned today that Josh Sweat has already played more snaps than he has the entire season last year.
Yeah.
We are the worst team in the defense, or I'm sorry, we're the worst team in the league on third down defense. We have the least amount of sacks on third downs. So I just feel like by the time third down comes, our guys are worn out and we're not getting after the quarterback and teams convert on us. I'm going to say, I do think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Give me Dallas 34, and the Eagles 27.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, Drew. And I'm sitting here. I even texted our group chat today, and I just said, I'm really worried that Ali and I are spending all this money just to go watch us get our ass kicked in Texas. And
I don't think it could be a blowout, though, because they just got blown out. So it's so hard for me to imagine that happening back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it could, right? But we also have Brian Johnson at the helm here, and we're bringing in and I'm excited for Shaq Leonard. You guys saw the reaction live on the podcast earlier this week, but he got cut. Like, you don't just let all pros go because you don't just let all pros go with 2 back surgeries recovering and not seeing the full playing time on the field and expect him to be significantly better. But I do think he's an upgrade, right? But like let's look at the well, I don't want to say the stats because Ali's going to come with the stats, but let's look at the story here. I mean, Chris already said it. Dallas hasn't beat a single team over 500 yet. We've beat several teams, right? The level of competition we've had with seemingly no weeks off and little rest in between is impossible for almost any NFL team to go unscathed. And I think all of us predicted we were going to lose at the macro level. It's just when you actually break it down and say, hey, we actually have to lose games. Like, you have to lose games we're not going to go, 17, 16-0, right? But if the Eagles do lose, we will go to the 5 seed, depending on the favorites winning. But here's where the tide is changing. I think the pressure is really on Dak right now. And this is a very vintage Cowboys moment where if he loses, he's going to be called a fraud. He's going to get in his own way. And he's going to say, yeah, like that's what happened when you put all this pressure on Dak Prescott. And this has been his story. He cannot get out of the second round in the playoffs, right? And I wanted just to sit here and say the Philadelphia Eagles are going to lose this game. But here's the thing. This is not Jalen Hurts. This is not the way that he's built. And I know that he's going to come back after getting his ass whooped last week. And he's going to bounce back. We also know that Mike McCarthy just got appendicitis surgery yesterday. They chopped him up and took his appendix out. I don't know if he's going to be coaching on Sunday. That may actually be a better thing for Dallas with a little bit of, flavor. And we can't really game plan against whoever may be calling the game. But I just think Dak put up 40. He's being touted as the MVP. Realistically, he hasn't done anything. Eagles are still the number 1 seed. We're making some personnel changes, and Dallas Goedert's coming back. I just don't see Jalen Hurts losing this game. I think we're going to see a primetime vintage Dak Prescott losing a big moment against the up-and-coming face of the NFL and Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles will win this game 38-31 is my score prediction.
I like it.
Wow. All right. First, before I get into what I think this game is going to turn into, I need to recant something. So last week in our episode, I threw a bunch of shade towards Brian Johnson, and I need to recant some of that shade. Dave Spadaro, Eagles insider, came out with a report a couple of days ago, actually, saying that Nick Sirianni is in extreme control of how this offense is run. And I want to pause to think about.
So you hate Nick Sirianni now? Is that where you're going?
I don't hate Nick Sirianni. I'm just saying it's a little complicated. Besides, other than just saying, "Hey, it's just Brian Johnson."
It's an entanglement.
It's an entanglement. I'm conflicted right now because I do remember a time when the Eagles offense was managed by Nick Sirianni, and it wasn't until he relinquished the reins to Shane Steichen that we actually started seeing production out of this offense. Call it, the fact that Brian Johnson is an inexperienced offensive coordinator and Nick Sirianni feels like he needs to have more control of the offense. I do think that blaming Brian Johnson solely is it's not the complete picture. I think Nick Sirianni has a lot to blame in how our offense has been, the lack of production of our offense and the play calling. It's not just on Brian Johnson. I almost figure it's almost like Brian Johnson's playing Madden and Nick Sirianni is the one that's offering the 3 plays that he can pick from. And he's just the one that's saying, quarterback draw, right? It's an incomplete.
Sounds like Tecmo Bowl.
It is. It is very much so. That's actually the Philadelphia Eagles offense right there. You just summed it up perfectly true. The second thing is I got to give kudos to Mike McCarthy, man. Dak Prescott, we were talking about how he was ass last season, and frankly, coaching has a lot to do with how a quarterback can show up in games, as we can see from the fact that Jalen Hurts had an all-star, all-pro season last year, and now it looks like he's struggling to make stuff up on his own. Mike McCarthy has shown that he can get back to what he does best, which is calling offensive plays in the NFL. And frankly, I hope for our sake that his appendicitis is a little too bad and he's not able to show up to the game on Sunday. Not to say that I wish harm on anyone. I'm just saying that I hope his recovery
giving
is
all Eagles fans a great name here. Yeah.
You just hope his appendix
so
just
this is
falls
one of the
out.
things where Chris Nady's on. It's like, okay, are we good fans or bad fans? And oh no, he's on a podcast wishing that his appendicitis is worse. And Chris Nady's face is on it.
It can't be worse.
Calling duty.
What was that?
That guy was the originator of losing play calling duties, for God's sakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Come on.
Listen,
I love that
can't wish.
Sirianni doesn't want. Well, I don't know if he doesn't want them, but I need a coach that just runs like a special teams coordinator. Just runs the team. You're responsible for this. You're responsible for this. There's accountability across the board. Andy Reid, that didn't work after a while. He was too stubborn in his ways. Chip Kelly, who knows what the hell he was trying to do. But I love a guy who really just wants he's the coach, he's the manager, he's the general manager. Well, not the general manager, but like in a retail organization, you got the GM here. Everybody does their job. You know what I mean? And that's what we have now, and I like how he does that.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, I can't wish bad on a guy's appendix because it already exploded. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. So the thing I'm going to be looking at in this game is honestly the relationship between the Dallas offense and our defense. Dallas is number 1 in points per game. We're number 24. Our defense is. They're number 5 in yards per game. Our defense is number 22. Number 3 in points per play. We are number 25. And the list just continues to go on and on and on and on and on all the way until the stat that Drew, you shared when you were giving your analysis in this game, which is third down percentage. We are the worst in third down percentages out of any team in the NFL. We are worse than the Cardinals. We are worse than the Panthers. We are worse than any team. The bottom 10 teams in third down conversions are losing. They all have losing records. They have no chance of making the playoffs, and we are one of those bottom 10 teams. We're kind of an enigma with that stat. From an offensive perspective, it's where I do have a little bit more hope. We are significantly better in red zone scoring despite what happened last week. We were actually the number 1 team in red zone scoring for the last 4 weeks prior to the game against San Francisco. Yeah, that's pretty surprising, right?
That is very surprising.
Whereas Dallas is number 23 in red zone defense. We are the number 9 team in red zone scoring offense. Dallas is the number 23 team in red zone defense. So if we're able to get down there in the red zone, I have a lot of confidence that Jalen Hurts and the offense is going to be able to find a way.
Are we the number 1 red zone or number 9? Are you talking about season rankings and we were number 1 for the last 4 weeks?
So we were number 1 in the last 4 weeks of red zone offense before the 49ers.
But for the season, we're ranked number 9.
Correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
We had a slow start to the season. If you remember, we were having a hard time getting in the red zone or in the end zone. I'm sorry. Once we got in the red zone,
feels like it's been all year, but yeah,
it does feel like it's been all year. But you know what? We've been scoring pretty well. Again, San Francisco aside, but Dallas's red zone defense is pretty suspect. They're number 15 in giving up touchdowns per game, and they're number 10 in the third down conversions. So if we can get some pretty explosive plays, if we can get down into the red zone, I have a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to score. Despite that, though, I don't have a lot of confidence in our defense. This is going to turn into a shootout. And when it comes to our play calling and what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, frankly, I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with the scoring at Dallas, especially with that crowd in the frenzy that it's going to be in. Because frankly, Dallas fans, I was there last year. They were completely docile, really kind, really nice to me. until the Cowboys won in that Christmas Eve game. And then it was like, oh, Eagles suck. You guys are the worst. You guys are terrible, right? So they only come out when their team is winning and it looks like they're going to win the game, which I feel like there is going to be a pretty high chance of that. So my score prediction this game is 31 Dallas, 24 Eagles. And I say that partly because I think this is how the game is actually going to turn out. And the other part of it is the other 2 times this season where I predicted an Eagles loss, it actually turned out to be the most complete games that we've run. The first one was against the Rams. The second one was against the Dolphins. So here is me hoping that third time is again be a charm. But there's my score prediction: 31 to Cowboys, 24 Eagles.
Damn.
There you go.
And then just for all of you betting folks out there, we're going to get into swinging it here in a second. The Eagles and the line is moved are a 3.5 point underdog. No, it was always 3.5. I thought it was 2.5. It's always been 3.5. 3.5 point underdog. So they are eligible for swinging it. Andrew, explain the game.
Swingin' It. Underdog picks for the week.
All right, swingers, it's time to swing for those fences yet again. How does this game work? All 4 of us are going to pick an underdog. We're going to pick them to win the game outright. If that team wins, then if you pick that team correctly, then you are awarded the number of points that team is getting in the spread. So a quick recap here. Ali won again last week, and I felt like Alex dangled Green Bay to you, and you're just like, yeah, you know what? Give me Green Bay. Sure, fine. I'll take Green Bay.
Crazy.
And I can't even remember who they beat off the top of my head.
The Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Yeah. Did not see that coming.
Even when I'm not trying, I still win.
It's ridiculous. I'm enough already. So Ali, you are now at 33.5 on the year, or am I still wrong?
34.
It's 34. I still can't do math. So now you're at 34 points on the year, followed by newly in second place, who Chris will be representing today. The audience picked the Bengals correctly, who beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on, I think it was Monday night. That was a 9-point win. So now the audience has 23, just about 10 points, a little over 10 points behind Ali. Then there's Alex, who lost. You picked the Seahawks. You're at 17.5, and I'm in last. I took the Eagles last week, and that was that just added insult to injury. So I still have 11. Not great. So Chris, going to send it over to you. Give us your underdog.
Well, it's a team that's been doing a lot better lately, and I think their coach is finally getting control and figuring out what's going on. The quarterback, who a lot of people wanted here, and I didn't want. I had him in fantasy for a little while, and I wasn't believing it. It looked like he was at the end of his rope. I think the Broncos have something for the Chargers, and I'll be honest, the Chargers, I don't know what is up with them. They got a great quarterback, you'd think. Stud wide receivers. I mean, a great running back. The O-line must be just total trash. I don't follow them like I do the Eagles, and I'm usually at a game, so I don't get to watch a lot of the games. But I mean, it has to be O-line. I'd assume. I mean, I met Joey Bosa for the Chargers at the Chargers.
Joey, yep.
At the championship game last year. That dude is humongous. Like, there's no reason that guy shouldn't be dominating every week. Something's up over there because they couldn't even barely beat the Patriots the other week.
I think Bosa is hurt though, so that might have something to do with it.
What's that?
I think he's been out with an injury, so that makes your Broncos pick look a little bit better.
The lines must just be shot, and I guess their defense is trash because I don't understand what's wrong with them. But the Broncos have been, I don't say firing on all cylinders, but enough cylinders to get the job done. And I guess Sean Payton's coming through a little bit finally to this team and really making something happen there.
Chris, I love that. I love that pick. I love that pick. There's not a starting quarterback that's out there that I hate more aside from Dak than Justin Herbert. So I saw his win-loss record, and I had to do a double take, and I actually had to Google it to see if this was actually true. Since he entered the NFL, he is 30-31. He has a losing record as a starter in the NFL. I don't know how he gets credit for anything good when he's just that bad at winning.
I think a lot of it
just because he throws for 4,000 yards every season.
We're always been so successful because we stay focused on the lines, and a lot of those teams like the old Colts and everything. Oh, we need another weapon. We need another weapon, and those weapons just don't add up after a while. And you need somebody to protect your main weapon, your quarterback, and get to there.
They also have Yeah, they also have a huge dingleberry as a freaking coach with Brandon Staley, who likes to go for like fourth down on his own, 15-yard line. So a lot of just dumb stuff going on in LA with the Chargers. They should have never left San Diego. All right, so you got the Broncos. Great pick. I'm going to go. It looks like there's 2 Monday night games this week. I'm going to take the freaking New York Giants
That's what I was going to pick.
to beat
Great
the Packers.
pick.
The Packers are on a tear right now, and the Giants are just they're just going out there. Tommy DeVito, it's just like whatever. Like they have nothing to play for, so they're just going out there and they're swinging for the fences. So give me the Giants in the upset on Monday night against the Packers, who are trying to get a playoff spot. So they might run into right. Anyway, Alex. You.
So I'm surprised that this team. I mean, I guess the lines are fine. It's basically an even game, but this astronaut has just shown that he cannot throw the ball. The alopecia sensation is just not a good quarterback. Josh Dobbs has just not been playing so well. He had 1 week where he beat the Cowboys. I would love for like that loss, like to somehow come back and haunt Dallas from, whatever, or making them face San Francisco in the playoffs and they lose. But give me the Las Vegas Raiders to overtake the Vikings. I don't even know who their quarterback is right now. But I just think Dobbs is going to have such a bad game again that the defense will just constantly get them in a place where they can score. So give me Las Vegas +3.
Justin Jefferson returning from injury. Maybe he'll light a fire in Josh Dobbs. Who knows?
I don't know. I think Max Crosby is going to be haunting him in his dreams. So
you're probably not wrong about that. Ali, do us the honors of finishing this off.
All right, and as soon as I finish it off, Chris, we have this tradition now where we'll send it to our guest to send us home on the episode. So once I give my Swingin It pick, I'll send it over to you to end the episode. I said that the Eagles were going to lose this game in my analysis. This is my way of hedging. This is my way of hedging. Give me the Birds against the Cowboys.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I think it should be illegal. To be honest, I don't think we should let this happen. But screw it. I hope the Eagles win, and I hope you get your points.
All right, Chris, this is episode 75. Send us home, man.
It's like the shirt says, Philly versus everybody, and that means the Cowboys especially. Let's go, Birds! E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles, let's go!
Let's go!
Go Birds!
People out in this town, I bet.